Hey guys, welcome to 2017. I hope you had a wonderful holidays and a wonderful New Year's. And for the first video of the year, I wanted to talk about the most unique substance on our entire planet. Do you know what it is? It's water. Now I know that may not seem very fascinating because we're around it every day, but I promise you, these 10 facts are going to be absolutely fascinating. Fact number 1. So I've heard a lot of people complain that there's expiration dates on water bottles. How can water expire? It's not the water. The water in the water bottles isn't expiring. It's the bottles themselves. Now, after that expiration date, you're way more likely to have plastic or other chemicals leaking into that water, which makes the water a little bit less safe. So, right before the expiration date, you may want to pour it into a different container. Or just drink it. Which brings us to our next fact. Fact number 2. Now, water is extremely healthy for you, and you need to drink it a lot, daily. Trust me, you're probably not drinking enough water. But there is such a thing as water intoxication if you drink too much water. Now, obviously, this is an insane amount of water that you would have to drink, but it is possible and it can be very dangerous. But again, don't use that as an excuse to not drink your daily amount of water. Crazy fact number 3. So just like any substance, water has 3 states of matter, the solid, liquid, and gas state. But what makes water so unique is it's the only substance that can be naturally found in all 3 states. You can find water as ice, you can find water as water, and you can find water as vapor. And all 3 of them occur naturally. And that's rare. Think of metal. Metal only occurs as a solid state here on Earth, naturally. Now obviously using energy, you can force it into the other states of matter, but naturally on Earth it's only found as a solid. And same for helium or carbon dioxide. Naturally, they're only found on Earth as gases. Again, you can manipulate those so they can be liquid or solid, but naturally on Earth, they're only gas. Water is the only substance that can be found in all 3 states here on Earth. Fun fact number 4. So we've learned about the different states of matter. And when the molecules heat up, they expand and get farther apart. And when they get colder, they get more dense and more packed together. And this actually doesn't happen with water. This is so rare for this to happen, that a substance actually expands when it becomes a solid. When it gets colder, when it becomes ice, it actually expands. And this goes against everything that we understand about the 3 different states of matter. And scientists don't know why. They have some ideas and theories, but there's no universal conclusion on why water expands when it solidifies, when everything else condenses when it solidifies. So to see this for yourself, you can use a measuring cup with ice water, and you can mark the water level. And then after all of the ice melts, will the water level be lower or higher? With any other substance, it would be higher, but with water, it will be lower. Fun fact number 5. So water actually has 2 different liquid states. When water is a liquid and it gets heated, it goes into water vapor. But right at that temperature point, when it's converting into a gas, it actually goes into a second liquid phase before gas. It's a very small fraction of a second, but it exists. Fun fact number 6. Warm water actually freezes faster than colder water. Even though the colder water is closer to that freezing point, the temperature that water freezes, and the warmer water is farther from it, it freezes faster. Now, you can see this by putting an ice tray in the freezer. You can do one side hot water and one side cold water, and leave it in for about a half hour, and check on it, and see if one looks more frozen than the other. And this actually makes sense from what we learned, that warmer molecules expand and get farther apart, and the colder molecules pack tighter together. Now, while the warm molecules are bigger and farther apart, it's more easy for them to be affected by their surrounding. So if they're in a very cold freezer, it's easier for the cold to affect them. And the colder molecules that are more packed together, it's a lot harder for the cold air to get inside there and freeze the water. Now think about a crowd of people. If the crowd was scattered, it'd be a lot easier for other people or things to move through it. But if the people are really packed together, it's really hard to move through that packed crowd. So the warmer water will be more affected by the cold temperature and will freeze faster than the colder packed water. Fun fact number 7. So you know how your mom always tells you to not go swimming when it's lightning out, because they say water is a good conductor of electricity, meaning that if the water was struck by lightning, the energy from the lightning would be scattered all over the water, and it could shock you, and it's very dangerous. And while a part of that is true, it's not actually the water. Water is not a good conductor of electricity. It's actually the impurities in the water. So pure water will not spread electricity very easily. It's actually the impurities, so the salt or metal ions that are in the water. Those are what spread the electricity across the water, not the actual water. So yes, it is still very unsafe to swim during a lightning storm, but it's not the water, it's the stuff in the water. Fact number 8. So we talked a little bit about how water can exist naturally on Earth in all 3 states. But have you ever noticed how slippery ice is? Now, any other substance as a solid, for instance, plastic or metal or all the wood, all the solids that surround us, they're not slippery like ice is. So what makes solid water so slippery? Well, the outer layer of the ice actually doesn't freeze. It remains a liquid. Now, this thin layer is so thin that it's 1/1000th of a human hair. That's very thin, but it's just enough to make the smooth ice very slippery. And this very, very tiny, thin layer of liquid stays a liquid at -38 degrees Fahrenheit. Here in the northern part of the world, we've experienced that temperature with wind chill. But that is still so far below water's freezing temperature. Fun fact number 9. Now, water is extremely important in our daily lives, and it takes up about 70% of our entire planet. That's a lot of water. But did you know that only 1% of all of that water is actually drinkable for us? That's a very small amount. And to get even more crazy, that 90% of our little bit of drinkable water is all in Antarctica, the continent that has the smallest population. Crazy water fact number 10. While the average American uses up 100 gallons of water a day, there's other places of the world that only use 3 gallons of water per day. So while you're using your water to bathe or drink or just waste, keep those people in mind. And if you are interested in supporting a good cause and would like to donate time or money, I will put a link down in the description below where you can help less fortunate countries obtain their water. Okay, so first video of the year. I want to try something new. At the end of every video, I'll start asking you guys for prayer requests. Now, it can be something for you, something for somebody you know, it can be personal, so you can comment or you can message me or see me in person, however you want to let me know. And I don't care what it is. If it's something that you're praying about and you want help, let me know. I promise I will not judge, and I will pray for you if you ask. I have a lot of faith-based Facebook groups that I can post your prayer requests. And I also have a lot of friends and family who believe in God. So I will spread the word, and you'll have a lot more prayers, and hopefully we'll get more results. Because remember, this is our channel, not just my channel. And next week we will start again with some really awesome science experiments, and I will use them as our godly metaphors. So let me know what you guys think about this new video, and let me know about your prayer requests. And until next time, bye!